All right. So here we are again, and I've got a great one for you today because this is one of the issues that comes up all the time. It's the I can't afford that myth. So how many times have you been, talking to a client, presenting a proposal, maybe even just, touching on price at all, and suddenly it's like you just pulled, untied the knot of your client's balloon and they flutter all over the place. I can't afford that. Well, this is what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you 3 examples to show you that most of the time, almost always, this is a myth. It's just a misunderstanding. It's not actually true. I'm going to give you 3 examples that really prove that. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you can bust through that and actually overcome this objection. Because most of the time, it's not actually the real reason they don't want to be, accepting your proposal or accepting your offer. It's a defense mechanism that people are using to, to not have to make a decision and to kind of get around things. And so we're going to be talking about that, and let's dive into it. So as we're talking about this stuff, I have a tendency to forget to mention this until the end. I remembered last time in the beginning. I'm going to try to do that again. If the kind of stuff that we're talking about today ends up resonating with you and you feel like you're kind of in the same situation where you've got, where you present your offers to your clients, you present your proposals or whatever, and they begin to say things like, I can't afford it, and you want to know what to do about it, and you want to talk more in depth. Like, there's not but so much I can do in a big group setting like this, but if you want to talk one-on-one about this kind of stuff for free, we can do that to help you really overcome the kinds of issues that are going on specifically with your clients and the type of work that you're looking for. So if that's the kind of thing you want to talk about, you can head over to doublestack.net/call and we'll get together and talk about it. But here's the thing. So many times, like there's a couple of there's like 2 or 3 really, really common objections that come across your desk all the time when you're working with clients. And probably the most common one of all is the I can't afford that myth. So let me give you a couple of examples that really highlight how this is a myth. Now, it was, about a year ago, I was really interested, and I really still am. I'm still really interested in writing, being an author, and writing books, both nonfiction and fiction. I do a lot of songwriting already, a lot of poetry, and that's just something that's really been part of my life for a long time. And I've been really curious about, what does it really take to like have some sort of business success as an author or as a writer, and what are the differences between fiction and nonfiction work? Like, what kind of challenges do writers and authors face based on the type of writing that they do? And so, I decided that what I would do is I would go and connect in with, I live in Virginia, like just outside of Richmond, and I figured I would go into Richmond and connect in with our local writers like guild. They had this club or meetup group or whatever. I forget exactly what it was called. But it's, there's a group of writers and authors that get together on a regular basis and they talk about stuff. And this particular night, they were talking about how to handle like the passage of time when you're writing a novel. Like, how do you like make sure everybody understands, what the time setting is without having to really like give out dates and times and, talk about clocks or whatever. So like, how do you handle that? I thought it was pretty interesting. But what I really wanted to do was I wanted to go in there and talk to the people that were there and see, what is it like to be an author? Now, I'd always heard that authors have no money, authors are broke. I even did some research on it, and it's true. It's like the majority of authors make less than the poverty line when it comes to the revenue that they generate from their writing. So they all have other jobs, right? So they all are like, they work at newspapers or, news articles or write sports magazines or, they do other types of writing for their main job. And then, on the side, they have their books, their novels, their own independent writing business. So I just wanted to go in there and see, what's the deal with all of those types of things. And so I go down there, and when I first get there, it's like my first time. I'm not like a member there. I was just visiting this particular time. And so I'm like trying to figure out how to sign in and all this stuff. And so I finally get signed in, and the person that was like there before me was kind of like helping me out. And so we get to talking about, just, life in general. We're just introducing ourselves to one another. And I noticed she was wearing an Apple Watch. And so I said, hey, it looks like you got on an Apple Watch. And she said, yeah, I love this thing. This is great. This is actually like the 3rd one that I've had. And, every time a new one comes out, she gets it. And, she was really, really liking it. And I said, oh, so you like Apple stuff? And she's like, oh, I love Apple stuff. And she like pulls out her iPhone and she says, in fact, I actually have 2 iPhones, the big one, the small one. My husband's got an iPhone and a Google Pixel. And then, so we're just kind of experimenting with the Android world, but we really are, Apple people. I've got like 2 iPads, a mini and a Pro. I've got an iMac. I've got a couple MacBooks. And so she was listing all of this stuff, and I'm getting all excited because I like Apple stuff too. And, so we're really kind of connecting on all of this. And and I'm thinking, I'm not like, I'm no Price is Right contestant or whatever, but I'm kind of adding up all of this stuff in my head. And I'm like, good grief. She just like laid out like, I don't know, maybe $10,000 worth of Apple stuff, that she's got. And so, so anyway, so then the conversation kind of turns, and she starts to talk to me about, she's like, so what do you do? Are you an author or a writer? And I explained, I don't really, I'm not an author yet, just kind of, exploring this whole thing, but I actually am I build websites, basically is what I said. And, I help people with their digital marketing and to grow their business online. And she's, oh, that's really interesting. And so she was kind of interested in that. And so she began to ask, well, how much does that cost? Like what, what's the starting point? Like, I wasn't trying to like sell her anything. I was just answering her question. So it wasn't like a, client kind of proposal situation. So I just said, you know what? The pricing usually starts like $3,000, and we kind of just work it up from there based on what kind of goals the client has. And then it was like, kind of like I just said, it was kind of like I just untied the knot on a balloon. She's like, what? That's, I could never afford that. And so that's the thing. It's like she just finished listing $10,000 worth of Apple products. And then we told her a $3,000, web development project, and then she freaked out, right? So it's clearly not only a financial issue. Now, if she was like serious about her business and really believed in what she was doing and believed in the outcomes she could be getting, she could have taken some of that 10 grand she dropped on iPhones and MacBooks and invested it into her business. And so the money is there. So that's not, the problem isn't a financial issue. So when she said, I can't afford that, it's not that she can't afford that. That's not the problem. The problem is different. Let me give you another example. So another thing that I did is, in addition to going down and finding out about these authors, over the past couple of weeks, in fact, actually just this past week, over the last like seven or 8 days, I've actually talked to 3 different people who are kind of in like the animal behavior training world, which is new to me because like I've never really even talked to anybody about that before. And so it's really kind of, for some reason, kind of caught my attention that, dog trainers basically is what these people are calling me up. We're talking about stuff. And across the board, all 3 people have said, you know what? Dog trainers don't have any money. And so when I go and I present my offer and it's, $1,200 website or whatever, they freak out. They can't afford it. They kind of max out at like $500, $800 and they don't have any money. And so I'm talking to this guy. He's telling me this story about how he's, he once himself was a dog trainer, and that's something that he's kind of been involved in for a while. And now he kind of knows people in that industry and sort of helps them out online. And, he said, this one particular woman that he knows is actually, she actually has bought a building or leased a building, and it's big enough to where they can do these group training courses, and she's selling products, and she's hired a couple people to help, and, all of these different things. And I'm thinking to myself, how can it be that, here's this guy who just finished saying, this person said they can't afford a $1,200 or $2,000 website, but yet she somehow can afford to lease a building, to buy products to put on the shelves, to hire some employees, and the building's large enough to hold these group training sessions. How can it be that she can't afford it? It's not that she can't afford it. The issue is that she's choosing not to spend the money on it. And we'll talk about why in just a second. Let me give you a third example. The third example is I was talking to a doctor, and like all doctors are all rich, right? Everybody, all doctors have all the money, right? Well, that's not actually true, but because a lot of the doctors, especially the ones that I tend to work with, they are coming out of a traditional type of a practice, like a general practice, family practice kind of thing, and starting up their own business as like a functional medicine doctor, trying to really get down at the root cause of problems rather than just kind of prescribing antibiotics all the time or whatever. So anyway, all that is to say, I'm talking to this doctor. He lives out in Denver, and he says, in fact, while we were on the phone, he and his wife were in the car. They were talking to me as they were driving to the airport to fly all the way to like Florida to like scope out a place to live, a place to put their office. They kind of had a general idea where they wanted to be, but they hadn't really picked an actual exact location yet. So they're going to fly out there, check that out, get an office, and it's going to be like right on the Gulf Coast. There's like this harbor on the Gulf Coast where they were going to set up shop, and they're just trying to like pick the right place within that area. And, he's telling me about it's beautiful. There's sailboats there. And, he's going to get this like 8-foot long, like frosted glass, like sketch of his logo. And he's going to put that on there. He's decking the whole thing out kind of like an Apple store, which that kind of appeals to me. Like he's going to run the thing on IMAX and everything for his booking and for his, scheduling and everything. And so like I'm building up this mental image of how this practice is going to be awesome. And everything is, and so he's talking to me about, flying across the country, moving, buying getting a room, getting this huge frosted glass logo thing. And then he says, and what else? And I want to spend, I got about like $1,500 that I want to spend on my website. And like, if you could somehow like do it for less than that, that would be great, because I'm starting this all up, I'm on my own. I don't have any clients yet. We don't have any real revenue coming in. I'm really just self-funding all of this. And I can't really afford any more than that. So if you could do something that is like $1,500 or less, that would be really, really nice. And so I'm thinking to myself, hold on. He just said he's flying across the country. He's buying a house. He's leasing a building. He's getting an 8-foot long glass sketched logo thing. He's buying IMAX, hiring employees. Obviously, he has the money to do it. And so when he says he can't afford more, what he's really saying is he's choosing not to spend more than a certain amount. And those are two extremely different things. And that's really what I wanted to draw out in this conversation today, which is people will say, I can't afford to, whatever the price is, when what they really mean is, I don't believe I'm going to get a good return on that investment. Like whatever it costs, it's got to be lower than a certain amount, because I don't believe that when I spend that amount of money, I will make more than what I spent on that investment. And so that's really what the issue is. Now the reason they don't believe that could be a variety of things, right? It could be like if I was diving into this, further with them, I'd be like, is it a confidence issue? Is it a vision issue? Like, do they see the big picture? Do they not believe in me? Do they not believe that I can deliver those kinds of results for them? What are the actual problems that are going on? And or is it perhaps that they've kind of done some research and they sort of know what the price of other people's websites have been, and therefore they're saying, well, what the number that I'm saying is much larger than what other people have paid, therefore that's out of the, you're priced out of the market now. So there's all kinds of different things that are really going on under the current. But it almost always surfaces with the phrase, I can't afford that, with some degree of like shock in the mix. And so the way that there's a way to get around that. And the way that you get around that is you have to make sure that when you're that your offer represents a positive return on their investment. And that's where everything tends to fall apart for the most part. And so what that means is, you need to develop a high ticket offer. And if you're going around as like the web handyman, like if you're going around just saying like, I can do, WordPress sites, I can do maintenance stuff, I can do plugin updates, I can do JavaScript stuff, I can, do graphic design work, and start listing all of these different things that you can do, nobody is going to equate that with a high value return on their investment. And if there's not going to be a high value return on the investment, then it's a no deal. That's why they think, like, for example, the writer, the author, like she's thinking to herself, there's nothing that I can do online that's going to generate $3,000 from my writing. Now that's also a myth, right? It's totally not the case that authors and writers can't generate at least $3,000. That's a whole nother situation for another day, but that's an issue in her mind, right? So she doesn't believe that she's going to see it, and oftentimes in that particular scenario, I believe that's one of the like a self-confidence issue. It's also a vision issue, like she's not seeing the big picture. Or like the doctor, for example, like he's believing, you got to have a website, got to have a link for the business card. It's got to look nice. So if somebody happens to go to it, it's, represents a positive, professional, experience or whatever. But that's going to be pretty much the extent of it. And so the thing about it is, so I'll say this. That doctor I was just telling you about ended up signing a $5,500 contract with me. And the reason why is we shifted the entire view of what was going on. It wasn't a 5-page static website that's just out there. And instead, It was a plan to be able to use his online presence to draw in the kind of clients he wants to work with at the price he's planning to charge for his services. And so there's an art to doing that. And that's really what it's all about. And if you want to be able to charge high value prices for your work, you need to develop that skill of being able to break through this whole myth, uncover what the real problems are, and then begin to actually make a difference. And if you do that, then you're going to be totally different from everybody else. No one else is really doing that. And so essentially what you're allowing yourself to do is you're allowing yourself to create the opportunity to actually be able to deliver something that has an impact. Because if you're only charging $800 or $1,000 or $1,200 or whatever, like right in that price range, that's not enough to actually get the kinds of outcomes your clients are counting on you for. And so, and I know that, you know that, your clients know that, and that's why they're not paying more for the website, because they know that that's not going to generate the kind of results. It's not going to be a positive return on investment. But if you shift, if you can break through that, and this is the critical thing, if you're able to do that, you're helping your client in a way that no one else can help them, because they're holding themselves back and not being able to take advantage of all of the things that you can do to help. So what that means is, first, you've got to pack your skill set with things that actually do help. So that's an issue. The second thing is you have to develop your business skills. So it's not, people generally don't want just the website. They need more. Even if it's a beautiful website, like you can have the fanciest sports car there ever was that looks awesome, leather seats, whatever. And if you don't put gas in the tank, it is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. And so what I'm saying is you can build the best website there ever was, but if there's not someone there to crank that engine, if nobody's putting fuel in the tank, it's not going to do anything. But if you begin to talk to your client and expose that and differentiate yourself from all of these other low budget alternatives, you're actually doing a huge service to them, because you're actually being able to deliver the kinds of help that they're really looking for, that they need, that they're depending on you for, and you're protecting them from these low budget people that really ultimately end up just taking their money without delivering any results. That you're protecting them from people that just want to take the money, do a good job. I'm not saying they're taking the money necessarily out of malice or anything like that, but they're taking more money than it's worth. Because if somebody's going to pay you $1,200 to build a website, why don't they just go into Wix and build a website themselves? If the outcome is just to have a few pages online, maybe a contact form, maybe it looks good on a mobile device, if that's the extent of the outcome, then whatever you're charging, they could just go into Upwork or whatever and get it for half the price. Or they could just go onto whatever, Wix or whatever, and build it themselves if they had to have a free weekend. And so you're protecting them from people who are going to sell them bad investments. And so don't be that guy. Don't be the guy out there selling bad investments. That's not going to make you feel good. It's not going to be a good, because in the back of your mind, you're going to be nagged. You're going to be thinking, I'm going to do my best work. I'm going to do a great job. Everything's, I'm going to answer the phone calls, and the experience of working with me is going to be nice. But when I'm done, it's all going to fall flat. It's going to be this big, I gave a talk not long ago about how it's a soggy bag of fireworks, right? You're expecting this big explosion of color and awesome. You light the wick and it's nothing. It's nothing. And so don't be that person. If you feel like that's who you are, if you feel like that's what your current offer is, then let's do something about that so that you can actually break through and lead your clients into the success, into heights that are higher than they would otherwise be able to get had it not been for you being part of their lives. And so if you're feeling like that's the kind of stuff that you want to do, let's talk about doing that. And so ask yourself this. So like, how many more times are you going to have to sit around and listen to your client and say, I can't afford that, before you do something about it, before you figure out how to bust that myth and actually restructure your business in a way that you're offering these returns on investment that are clear and obvious, and that of course are premium and command a premium price. So how many more clients are you going to let slip away because you're not doing these types of things, because you're out there trying to, do everything for everybody and sell all these services and maintenance and plugins and all these updates and everything? How many clients are you going to let slip away because they don't want to pay, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 for WordPress maintenance or whatever, and you're not able to just articulate what it is, because you can do better, but you can't connect them with the clients. And so how much money are you going to keep leaving on the table because you have to just keep lowering your price to make sure that you're kind of in the same zone as the other cheaper alternatives or whatever that are out there? So, how much longer are you going to keep cranking it out like that when you could be doing so much better for yourself, so much better for your clients, so much better for their clients? It's like this win right on down the line when you are able to do these types of things. So, and the other thing is, like, where else are you going to find somebody who's got 16 years of experience offering to help you for free? So that's what I'm doing. I'm so passionate about this issue that I do these Facebook Lives all the time, and I take phone calls all the time, and I'm offering to do that for you. So if this is the kind of stuff that you feel like you're kind of stuck in and that you can't really break out of, and maybe you've been trying for like 6 months or whatever, and you're seeing that when you begin to raise your price up over that $1,000 mark, you're kind of hitting that ceiling, and that's when your clients' eyebrows go up, and everybody says, I can't afford that. If you feel like that's you, then let's talk about how you can overcome that for specifically your business, the type of clients you want to be working with, and the types of websites you want to be working on. So let's do that. So head over to doublestack.net/call and let's get on that. And if you, here's the thing, it's not a sales call. I know that when people, offer free consultation calls, it's like almost always a sales call. Now, that's not the issue here. The issue is, if you want help doing these types of things, let's talk about it. And then if you continue to want more help and you want me to work with you to implement the stuff that we talk about on the call, well, then we can talk about that too. If you don't want to do that, that's also fine. But the point is, don't be the guy out there selling bad investments. Don't be the guy out there going around, when you see the person you built the website for, and that you haven't really updated their plugins in the last 6 months or whatever, but they're not paying you to do it anyway. And then you see them, you're like, oh my gosh, I hope their site doesn't crash. And you're walking around with that burden because you see the person from time to time or whatever. And you don't want to feel that way, and you want to be able to help at a higher level, more effectively than that. Then let's talk about how you can do that, how you can restructure your business, your pricing, and how you can build in recurring revenue that's going to give you the opportunity to deliver the results that you are looking for, and more importantly, even than that your clients are counting on you for. The reason they're working with you is they need the help. And so give yourself the opportunity to be able to do that by setting up these retainers that are going to be able to allow you to keep helping your clients on an ongoing basis. And then you don't have to find clients all the time. So that's the kind of thing. So finding clients is a big challenge for a lot of people. And and then on top of that, it's not actually helping anybody. When you do that client hopping thing, you're not helping anybody. You're not really helping yourself because you're stressing yourself out. Trying to find clients all the time, rushing through projects as fast as you can to get to the next client. That's not helping you out. That's stressing you out. You're not helping your clients because, like we said, there's nobody there putting fuel in the tank. There's nobody there helping on an ongoing basis. And then, of course, the people that your client could really be helping, like doctors or whatever, that can do awesome things for people, or whatever it might be, even if it's, whatever type of business your client has, the people that would be enjoying those types of products and services aren't getting it because nobody is there to help them get out there and let people know that they're there. So when you shift that around, of course, all of the opposite things are true, and everybody wins right on down the line. So if that's the kind of stuff you want to talk about, head over to doublestack.net/call, and we'll talk about that, and we can really get you pointed in the right direction on on an ongoing basis. So it'll fundamentally change the way that you think about yourself and your business, the pricing that you charge, the way that you interact with your clients, and all of it is so much better this way because you're actually genuinely able to help, and you're genuinely able to deliver the kinds of results that your clients are looking for, and that's awesome. So if that sounds like the kind of thing you want to do, definitely hook up with me on one of these calls at doublestack.net/call. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put a comment down below. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this throughout the week as well, and we can continue the conversation here. And so it's Thursday. We'll be back again next Tuesday for another one of these sessions. And if there's anything in particular that you're kind of working through, you kind of want to talk about it, in this group setting, leave it again here in the comments. And if nothing else, just give me a high five for the weekend, and that'll let me know that you're here as well. So awesome. Thanks for showing up. And here is the high five for the weekend. And we'll be talking to you again soon.